I'm the editor of CA Magazine, and welcome to the latest in our series of webinars with Xero. Today, the focus is on how Xero Payroll can benefit your practice. So the key themes and topics we'll be exploring today are understand the key features of Xero Payroll, stay compliant with the pensions regulator and HMRC, and learn how software can save you time through automated features. The person doing pretty much all the talking today is Andy Tarras, who's education specialist at Xero. Andy spent 3 years in practice as a cloud accountant, helping clients with payroll, audits, and statutory accounts. Previously worked in industry, and I think understands the issues faced by small and medium-sized businesses. He's passionate about educating accountants, bookkeepers, and small businesses to become skilled and confident in using Xero and to support them on their cloud journey. The session he's about to introduce will last about 30 minutes, which allows plenty of time to put your questions to him at the end. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Andy.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Just to confirm, I am from Xero. Can you see my top? Yeah, brilliant. Right, so I thought I'd leave the camera on just for a few moments, let you know who I am, let you know that it's not ChatGPT taking over, it's a real human being. And as Ryan's just said, we will have a Q&A session at the end, so please do get your questions ready as we go through the content or anything you want answered about Xero Payroll. So this is me, Andy Tarras. I work in the UK education team, specifically on payroll content. So I'd like to think I'm well placed to answer all of your queries. What I am going to do, though, is I'm actually going to stop the video right now. I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to kick off with some slides that I've prepared for today's presentation. So without further ado, welcome to Discover Xero Payroll. Again, my name's Andy. I've got the pleasure of showing you all of the key features of our Xero Payroll tool. Now, a few quick bits of housekeeping to run through. Please do close down any other applications that you may have running in the background. Okay, this will be crucial to get the most out of today's webinar, because what I've found before is it can use up your bandwidth and it can cause your audio and your screens to freeze. Things such as Skype, emails, web browsers, just take a second to close those down. Now, you also have a webinar control panel on screen that will show you different options for your audio settings. Hopefully you can hear me, by the way, and the Q&A panel, and also the chat box as well. If you can't see those, just wiggle your mouse around and it should pop up for you. Now, I'm going to be using that chat box a little bit later on. We're actually going to share some resources with you at the end of the webinar, but you will see that for now, it's going to be disabled. Please do not worry though, you have that Q&A panel available where you can interact with me live, and just be aware that I may not answer all your questions as we go. I may call a few of them out though if it's topical to what we're going through, but we have that Q&A session at the end. We'll get your questions answered. By the way, actually, it's a great time just to confirm that you can hear me. You haven't just seen me really awkwardly moving around on camera and going through some slides now. If you could head across to that Q&A panel, just give me a thumbs up, maybe a smiley face. Let me know where you're calling in from today. I want to, of course, check that you can hear me, but it's also great to see how far and wide these webinars reach. So please do pop something in the Q&A panel. Please do not be shy. I know it can be a little bit overwhelming thinking, oh, I'm going to be the first one. There we go, Sarah, you are the first one. Big smiley face from you. So welcome to today's webinar. We've got Carl as well. We've got Alice coming through. We've got Mandy. Hi to Mandy with a big smiley face. Stephen as well, calling in from Berwick. Rohan, Stephen again, another Stephen. Ashley, and yeah, Jeremy, brilliant. You can all hear me. And Joanne from Glasgow, you win the prize of the furthest person away in today's presentation. Now, I'm not going to spend any more time calling you all out, but thank you so much for letting me know you can hear me. Let's move on and take a look at our agenda. Now, today we're going to be working through the benefits and efficiencies that Xero Payroll can offer. I'm going to show you key features, and we're going to have a look at how it can save you some time. Now, one benefit includes Xero Me, which is the employee portal. Now, this employee portal allows employees to self-serve their own payroll, which is going to be fantastic for you payroll administrators. It's going to help you save time. We'll have a look at how Xero helps you stay compliant with the pensions regulator for auto-enrollment, as well as with HMRC for regular payroll submissions. And last but not least, we'll go through any questions that you may have at the end. Now, Xero Payroll is a HMRC recognised payroll solution, perfect for small to medium-sized businesses. It's a cloud-based solution, so you can access your payroll from any device with unlimited user access. You can keep accurate digital pay records, as well as automate a lot of the work, giving you that efficient pay run every single time. Xero will automatically assess your employees for auto-enrollment every single time you come to process that pay run. We'll also produce any correct communications needed for the employees once the assessment has taken place. So, of course, the pensions regulator are going to be happy with that one. And also, if any employees are eligible, they're going to be automatically enrolled into the scheme. We'll also reassess necessary employees when you hit your re-enrollment date. So a lot of automated features there that, again, helps you stay compliant and speeds up any of those tasks. Now, you may already be aware that each time you pay an employee, there's a report called a full payment submission, or FPS, which has to be submitted to HMRC by real-time information, or RTI. Now, if this isn't sent by the employee's payday, you may get an online penalty, let me get my teeth in, a penalty warning message, or even worse, a penalty itself. Well, Xero sends the FPS automatically when you post your pay run, which helps you to avoid any late filing penalties. If you have any employment allowance or statutory pay to recover from HMRC, the Employer Payment Summary, or EPS for short, will also be sent automatically from Xero. Now, Xero is a complete solution and it actually links directly with your accounting software. So each time you post a pay run, a journal will be created for you. Of course, my favorite word, automatically. Great benefit to have, because when I worked in practice, I didn't have to jump in and manually post that journal, which takes up a lot of time, especially as you look at it over the year. Let Xero do that for you, which also reduces any risk of manual entry error. Now, of course, the journal updates accounts with expenses, liabilities. So again, a really nice feature to have there to build in efficiency. And it doesn't stop there either. We have an integration with HMRC for your tax code updates. Xero is going to notify you and make changes to employees who have those P6 and P9 notices. And history of these changes will be made in the employee record underneath their taxes tab. Payroll admins, by the way, will also receive a notification. When it comes to pensions, we've got great news for anyone that uses Nest or the People's Pension, as Xero's built a direct integration with those providers. Once the connection has been made, changes made on the pension website can be updated in Xero literally at the click of a button. It'll also be nice and simple to send that pension file across to the provider. And finally, if you offer employees benefits in kind, you can actually payroll those benefits through Xero too, which means no more complex P11Ds at year end that you need to complete. Literally, it's a godsend for me. I was tearing out my hair sometimes at the end of the year, having to complete those complex calculations. Instead, Xero is going to submit that on the FPS submission on your behalf automatically. So that information is passed to HMRC. It's going to be accurate. There's nothing further you need to do. And of course, lastly, you have your employees. Where would we be without employees in a payroll scheme? I think the answer is pretty much nowhere. Of course, we wouldn't have one if we didn't have employees. The reason I highlight this is we have the employee portal available. And I really would recommend you check this out. Because especially nowadays with rising costs, well, you're going to be glad to hear the employee portal called Xero Me is at no extra cost. It's completely free and included as part of the payroll subscription. And this is where employees can request leave, submit timesheets, which allows them to stay in control. They can also access payslips and P60s, which is going to save you valuable admin time. And Xero Me is available as an app, which can be downloaded on both iOS and Android. So they can access these great self-serve features on the go. So let's jump straight across to our organization. Now we're going to be working in Emily's designs today. And of course, no bonus points here. Of course, we're going to go up to our payroll menu drop down to start with. Now, from this payroll menu drop-down, we can see those day-to-day tasks that payroll administrators would be completing. I'm actually scrolling through a few of those there with my mouse. Employees, however, will just see Xero Me. Okay, so payroll admin will see overview down to payroll settings, but the employee will just see Xero Me. You're probably thinking, well, why do you have everything on here? I'm actually an employee within this organization as well as a payroll administrator. But rest assured, employees will only see that portal at the bottom, which we're going to go ahead and open the web browser version of. Now, of course, once you invite your employees into Xero Me, they will receive an invitation via email. If they have a Xero login, they'll gain access. If not, they'll be prompted to create a login. So nice and simple just to access Xero Me for them. Now, the landing page of our portal is the overview. And from here, I can see my most recent payslips, as well as my most recent leave requests. If I move on to my payslips tab, I can actually see all of my payslips since I started with the organization. As I scroll down there, you can see there's quite a lot of payslips that I can now access. Now, I've got all the good stuff available. I've got the period of the payslip, the payment date, so that's the amount I'm actually paid on that day, and the net pay as well. On the right-hand side, I can download this payslip to PDF too. Now, moving on to the Leave tab, this will show me all of my leave requests since I started with the organization. Now, please don't laugh. Of course, all of my leave requests, well, it looks like they get rejected. I like to try my luck. But the important thing here is that we have the leave type column, the description, the leave period, and the status of that leave request as well. Based on the statuses of my last couple, I probably won't be putting through a request anytime soon. Now, actually, to put a request through, all we need to do is click New Leave Request. And from here, the employee can fill in the type of request. Just be aware that they'll only be able to select the type of leave that we've assigned to them in their record. They could then pop in a description. There we go, relax and chill day. And they can also choose the manager or approver that will be approving this request. Let's go ahead and select myself. We can then go in and enter in a start date as well as an end date, and Xero will automatically calculate the hours consumed by that leave period. All I then need to do as an employee is press request, but I'm going to press cancel. I don't want to be trying my luck any further. We then move on to the timesheets tab. Now, timesheets are completely optional with Xero, but I really think it's a really neat feature for you to check out if you're not currently using them in your organization or maybe your clients. Now, we can see that I'm a weekly paid employee, so I have weekly timesheets available. Now, the fantastic thing here is that because I'm a weekly paid employee, it's actually assigned these to me without me having to do anything. Let's go ahead and click into this week's timesheet. You will notice that it's currently in draft status, and I've already started to fill in all of that information that I need. Now, fundamentally, we've got Friday missing. I work a 5-day week. We filled in Monday through to Thursday, and we can see that I've got the different type of hours, the tracking category, and the hours themselves. Now, on Friday, I'm going to select the type of hours. Again, these will be accessible from all of the different earnings types we've set up as an administrator. But as the employee, I can select which one's relevant. Let's just go with the regular hours. We can then assign a tracking category, which will be perfect for when we want to analyze or track wage costs in the business as an administrator. So as an employee, I can now tell my administrator, my manager, where I completed those hours. Now, we're tracking offices in this organization, but you could use anything. It could be departments, regions, whatever you want to analyze within your organization. We can then pop in the hours. Oh, no, 7.5. Oh, goodness, there we go. There we go. We've entered it incorrectly now. And at the top here, we can see a summary, the total hours in this week. Now, before we look at the submit options, there is also a panel here which allows us to add time from Xero projects. And we're not going to be going through Xero projects in today's webinar, but just be aware that you can access this add-on feature to your core accounting package, which allows you to track time, profitability, costs as well for those projects you're running within the business. We can then import time from that module into payroll, into timesheets, I should say, which avoids any duplication of efforts. We don't need to enter in hours in projects and then again within the timesheets. Now, once we're good to go, we can delete it if we've got it wrong, but we're happy. We're going to go ahead and press submit. Now, before I navigate away from Xero Me, and remember, we've been looking at this from the employee's perspective, you will notice that we have two boxes here at the top. Now, they're currently grayed out, and that's because a lot of your employees may be working in an open office plan environment. They don't want prying eyes over their shoulder, who will then see their annual salary and earnings year to date. So a nice little security feature here. All you need to do, hover your mouse over those boxes, and the balances will become visible. So we've had a look at Xero Me from the employee's perspective. But what we're now going to do is switch our goggles. We're now going to have a look through the payroll administrator's perspective. So we're going to jump into payroll itself, and we're going to start off by clicking the Leave tab, which is accessible from that payroll menu drop-down. Now, within the Leave tab, we have two tabs available at the top. We have Current and we have History. I'm actually going to do those in reverse order. Let's go to History first. This will show us every single leave request that's ever gone through in the history of our organisation. We can see a full expansive list here of every employee. I won't scroll through all of them, there's too many. But we've got the name of the employee, the description, the type of leave, the dates, and the hours on the right-hand side. We can search for a specific employee if need be. There we go, my wonderful colleague Annie. We've got a nice breakdown list there. We can also filter and sort options on the right-hand side. So going back to our Current tab, you will notice that any requests that come through, let me just refresh my page there. There we go, bit of a glitch in the system on our demo data. But you will notice that we have all of those leave requests that we need to approve that are ready for review. Once we've approved them, they will show here as upcoming. So we can actually manage as administrators all of the leave that's happening or upcoming within the business. We can even post new leave on behalf of an employee, whether it be regular or statutory. So that's the Leave tab. We're now going to move on and take a look at the Timesheets tab. We're going to wait for that to load up and we'll have a look at what data is driven straight into our Timesheets module. Again, remember, completely optional. But the first thing we can see is that drop down. We have all of those different payroll calendars that we're running in our organization. Now, I love this feature when I worked in practice and even years ago when I worked in industry, because it allowed me to never forget when an employee was paid. We assign those calendars to our employee records, and when it comes time to paying them, they're going to be driven in automatically. There's nothing further we need to do. Now, we know we're looking at the weekly payroll calendar. Let's go ahead and select that from the bottom. There's that timesheet that we submitted a few moments ago. I'm just going to open this up and have a look. Now, remember, we're looking at this from the payroll administrator's perspective. I can see it's been submitted by the employee, and I've got all that data below that I need to check. Now, I can go ahead and approve it straight away, but I can also decline it, edit it, or delete it. But you know what? Because I entered it, I know it's correct. I'm going to go ahead and press approve. So we've approved that timesheet. All that data is now ready to go, and we're ready to pay our employees. And that's where we're going to go to next. So let's head up to payroll and then drop down to our pay employees button. Now, I mentioned a few moments ago that Xero will automatically drive your employees into the calendars that you assign to their records. And by the way, we can see those calendars from the drop down, as well as the next payment date for them. Below this, we have a table format which shows us all of those pay calendars we processed previously. We've got the period, the dates, the total cost to employer, and also those net pays too. Oh, and on the right, we've got the status as well. So we know which has been posted and which are currently in draft status. Now we're interested in the weekly calendar. So let's go ahead and find that here. There we go, 3rd of March. We can then process the pay run. And we'll wait for all of that data from the employee records to be driven through automatically. So we've got the employees which have been pulled through. We don't need to click them or tick them. They've been brought through straight away. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to post this pay run really quickly because this isn't the current week. Maybe I've forgotten to do last week's, which is a slap on the wrist there. Let's go back to pay employees. There we go. That should be the correct one. Press process. Scroll down. Yeah, fantastic. So this is the current week. I think time flies when you're having fun. So I've forgotten it's actually week commencing the 4th of March. But what can we see here? We have all of the employees being driven in. There's actually 2 different pay slips that I want to pay attention to. The first one is going to be Oliver Jones. Now I've opened up his draft pay slip. Now the reason I've opened up his pay slip is because he's a new employee. He's only just started this week within the organization. Now what we can see is we have regular hours. So that's being pulled through from his employee record underneath the salary and wages data we filled in. But as I scroll down, you'll notice we don't have any employee deductions for pensions, nor do we have any employer deductions for pensions. Now, what I'm thinking straight away is, well, actually, that's fine. You know, he's a new employee. What's happening is Xero is going to complete the assessment for auto-enrollment in the background once we've posted the first pay run. Now, if Oliver is then eligible, he'll be enrolled into the scheme and Xero will update the employee record, the pay items automatically, which will save you time. And then when you come to run his pay run next week, he'll be included and those items will appear. So it's absolutely fine. He's a new employee. We're good to go. And we'll have a look at his employee record in a short while. But I'm just going to follow the breadcrumb back to the draft pay run stage. I'm, of course, going to open up my payslip and take a look at how the timesheet is being pulled through. Now, on the right-hand side, you'll notice we have this blue paperclip icon. Actually, when I hover over that, it says timesheet. Funnily enough, there we go. I can click through, I can access that document, maybe make edits or maybe just understand where that data is coming from. I can also make any short-term edits to the draft payslips at this very late stage. What I'm going to do is I'm going to press add and I'm going to select bonus. Now I know I've worked super hard this week, so I'm going to give myself, let's give myself quite a hefty bonus, £500. And you'll notice that Xero automatically updates those costs, those taxes, NIC calculations in real time. We can then go ahead and press save. And we can follow the breadcrumb back to our overview page. I'm now going to go ahead and post the pay run. So we're going to click post at the bottom. Xero confirms that automatic pension enrollment action, which is simply to assess Oliver and if he's eligible, enter him into the workplace pension scheme. Now, we can actually postpone that assessment for up to 3 months using the calendar option, but I'm happy to go. I'm going to press confirm. Xero will also confirm that the FPS is now going to be submitted to HMRC automatically. And also remember, that journal will be posted to your accounts too. You guessed it, automatically. So we'll complete the pay run. Now, this has been posted, so we've processed that week ending 10th of March. You will now notice that we have this pop-out window at the top, which just confirms the actions taken regarding Oliver's enrolment. So he's been enrolled into the company pension scheme. Those pay items have been created, and also the communication has been created, ready for us to email or download. Now, we will have a look at his employee record in a few moments, but just before we do, at the bottom, we have our options drop down where we can run multiple different reports now that we've processed those figures. We can email payslips out by ticking those boxes, as long as there's an email address on their record, we can send encrypted payslips. Oh, and by the way, the instructions on how to decrypt that payslip will be on the email itself. But remember, you have Xero Me available as well, the employee portal. So as soon as we post the pay run, those payslips will actually be readily available straight away. We can also download payslips. We can view a payroll activity details report, which will be nice and handy, just to see a breakdown of that data. There we go. One employee, every single item that appears on that payslip. Oh, there's me, every single item, including that quite arrogant bonus, £500. I can assure you I did work hard. But you can see that this report is going to be perfect to analyze what exactly has been included on the payslips. And you can actually run it before and after the pay run. So if you do need to get approval from a manager or a client, perfect. From the options menu, you can also run your P32 report. But one report I would highlight here is the download bank payment file. Now, this is going to build time efficiencies into your payroll processing, because rather than paying your employees one by one and reconciling those transactions line by line through the bank, instead you can download a BACS file or a faster payment file. You can then upload it to your banking provider and actually pay all of your employees in one single batch. So a really useful tool to have available there. And of course, it'll also reduce any risk of manual entry error. We don't want to be entering in tens or hundreds of sort codes and account numbers, especially if you pay them on a Friday and you're a little bit tired, you're looking forward to the weekend. So now that we looked at the reports post pay run, we're going to click into Oliver Jones's employee record and take a look at what exactly has changed. We've come straight through to his pension tab, and what I want to highlight to you is that everything has been locked down. As you can see, these fields here are completely grey, they're frozen, I can't edit the details. To be honest with you, why would I want to? Assessment status is locked down because Xero's done that assessment for us. The assessment date is locked down. I do have the chance to edit that if I need be, but it's all good to go. And as you will see, we have that summary at the bottom, which just lets you know what actions will now take place. We can also email or download that pension letter, so helping us stay compliant with the pensions regulator. We also have that opt-out or cease membership button available too. So that's what Xero's updated in the employee record. And talking of pensions, let's scroll to the top, click payroll, and we're going to click pension filings. Because it now comes time to sending across our contributions to the provider's webpage. If you remember earlier, I did mention that we have built a direct integration with Nest and the People's Pension. So on this page here, we can see a breakdown of those calendar contributions for employee and employer. We have the total there. And if you have Nest or the People's Pension, rather than seeing this Mark as File button, you will see a Submit to Provider button. All you need to do, give that a click, and it will send across those contributions to those providers' webpage. You can then log into Nest or the People's Pension and, of course, schedule those payments. And that is, it done. That's completed that pension process for that week or month or fortnight, whatever scheme you're running in your organization. Please don't worry as well if you don't have Nest or the People's Pension, because from the overflow menu, you can download a PDF, download a CSV, so you have those options available. You can then upload them to your pension provider webpage, schedule the payments, and then jump back in here and mark them as filed. Now, talking of reports, we're going to have a look at one last report before we head back to our slides. Let's go to accounting, and we're going to access our report center. Now, there's hundreds of different report templates to access within this page here, not just relating to payroll either, relating to our core accounting ledger as well. So I'm going to scroll through all of those sections and go down to the good stuff that we're going to be interested in today, our payroll reports. Now I'm going to open up the gross to net report. Now this report was a really useful customizable report they actually used to accompany with the payslips, when I was actually processing payroll in practice. I'd send this through every single time I run the pay run. We'll see what benefits it gives us in a second, but first of all, we need to select which employees to include. We'll go with all of them. We also need to select a date range. I'm just going to leave it as the whole of March. We can add or remove columns, and we can group or summarize our employee data. Let's go ahead and press update. Now from here, we can see a breakdown from our gross earnings column all the way through to our net earnings column. So it's going from gross, making all of those deductions, and then we're arriving at our net pay figure. Of course, we're summarizing this by row, which is our employee names over here on the left. And also when I scroll to the right, you'll notice we have all of those employer costs to the right-hand side of the net pay column. Now we can reorder those columns by clicking reorder and just toggling those around, just picking them up, dragging and dropping. Now to export this data out of Xero, we've got this button in the bottom right-hand corner. It can be exported to PDF, Excel, or Google Sheets. By the way, Google Sheets I found was a fantastic tool to collaborate with your clients or other stakeholders live. So that brings us to the very end of our demo in product. And all I'm going to do is head back to my slides, because there are a few things I want to round off before we end today's webinar. And of course, we partake in our Q&A panel. Now, useful links. We're going to share some useful links with you now within the chat box. Now, these links are going to be, of course, useful, hence the name, but they're also going to support you moving forward in your payroll journey. Now, what you will find is that the first one is the natural progression that you're going to take after today's webinar. We've got another webinar for you called Introduction to Xero Payroll. And there we go, right in the middle there, Introduction to Xero Payroll. If you found today interesting, you want to learn a little bit more, maybe setting up your organization, setting up your employees, please do register for our Introduction to Xero Payroll webinar. I've glossed over Xero Central, but please don't worry, that is going to be your hub. Please do give that a click. It will take you through to all of those helpful articles to support you with any queries you have, not just about payroll, but about Xero in general. You can also find other webinars, workshops, classrooms underneath the Learning tab. I've also popped in a survey link, and I really would appreciate if you could take the next few seconds after this webinar, actually, we'll do it after, if you can fill that survey out for me. It literally does take 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds, but I really appreciate your feedback. Let me know what you want to see in our webinars moving forward. So your next steps from today's presentation are to sign up for that Introduction to Xero Payroll webinar. Remember, link in the chat box. Once you've completed the Introduction to Xero Payroll webinar, you will actually be able to sign up for Xero Payroll certification. And that's going to go through absolutely everything to do with Xero Payroll. So be sure to check that out once you've completed your Introduction to Xero Payroll. And of course, also give a read through to all of our Xero Central support articles. And remember, we have a 24/7 support team on hand to answer all of your queries moving forwards. So I'm going to stay quiet for the next few moments, and I'm going to let any remaining questions come through on the Q&A, because I think it's a nice time just to give you a chance to feedback to me, what queries do you have? We're going to get them answered live in today's Q&A. So I'll stay quiet for the next few moments, but if you do need to hop off, thank you so much for attending, and hopefully I will see you in the near future. Right, so let's get some of these questions answered. I'll stay quiet for a moment just whilst I read them, but I will then get them answered for you. Fantastic question from Joanne. Are we able to track national minimum wage or real living wage legislation? Currently, Joanne, we're not able to do this automatically in Xero. However, I can't give away too much, but there may be something on the horizon which will deal with this moving forward. I don't want to say too much, but I would keep my eyes peeled on Xero Central as well as our press releases. We may have something coming soon. What I would suggest, though, in practicality terms, is literally just to be checking HMRC's guidelines, especially come the 1st of April, because, of course, they're going to be changing. 11.44 is the new rate for national minimum wage at 21 or older. So please do check with HMRC and then make those manual adjustments in the employee records. Marianne, great question. How much is Xero Payroll? And to answer your question, I'm actually going to load up the Xero. Oh no, I spelled it wrong. That's embarrassing. There we go. Xero pricing. Let's have a look. Now, it'll be free from 1 to 5 employees and an additional charge, I believe, of £1 for every employee after that. So 6th onwards. But just to check for you, payroll. There we go. Completely optional with the starter, standard or premium plans. Pardon me. It's actually going to be free for up to 5 people, and then you'd pay an extra fee of £1 for each additional employee. It's actually free as well for up to 10 people on the ultimate plan, so something to consider there. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't highlight you can get free for 2 months there as well. That's a current offer we have on, so be sure to take advantage of that. Yeah, great question regarding maternity leave and, well, SMP, same thing, statutory maternity pay. We do have that module included underneath the leave tab. You can record statutory leave. You can enter expected dates. You can actually update those dates once you know the actual birth date. Xero will manage this for you. It will manage that leave and the payments, therefore, relating to that. If you are migrating across to Xero, you will need to use the average weekly earnings override feature within that tool. We actually go through that in payroll certification because, of course, you won't have enough data on Xero at that point. You can also manage keeping in touch days too. So to answer your question, sorry to be long-winded, by all means, you can manage maternity leave SMP within Xero Payroll. Yeah, Heather, so you've raised a question with regards to, can Xero Payroll be used for staff who work school term time only? Will it calculate their holiday pay accordingly? With regards to that, we do have the leave module available, and within the employee records, you'll set your schedule of accrual. So you'll actually choose how many hours will be accrued annually throughout the year. And I'm assuming that it's going to be on a pro rata basis, so evenly over those 12 months. So you can select it. Amount of hours accrued annually, how much they're going to carry forward, what their current balance is. And then, of course, every time you pay them, they'll accrue it. That's called the each pay period method. If you want to find out a little bit more about leave and schedule of accruals, I would definitely check out Xero Central. But to answer your question, yes, Xero does support this. Yeah, great question, Craig, with regards to timesheets and potentially uploading those timesheets in batch format. So when we use the timesheets module, which remember is completely optional, but I really would recommend checking it out if you haven't done so already, you would need to enter the hours for employees individually. That being said, I would always recommend our Xero community to check out the App Store. World-class Xero App Store, which you can access from this App Launcher button in the top right-hand corner. Just look for those 9 white circles. You can then actually find more apps on the Xero App Store. So you can potentially look for, let's have a look at timesheets. There we go. There we go. We've got loads of different options available. So we can actually record timesheets in there, and we've got Xero projects available as well. Then we can bring that data in. Okay, so maybe there is a batch facility available within these apps. But if you're just using payroll timesheets in Xero, you will need to enter in that data one by one, so by individual employee. Yeah, another great question, Mark. Is there any way to get Xero to automate age-related NI code changes? Whilst this isn't an automated task, what you will notice is within any employee record, You will have really handy user interface prompts, which lets you know what the NI code should be. But I would always recommend checking out HMRC's guidelines on their external website just to make sure you're assigning the right one. So, for instance, if an employee is retired, you're changing it at the end of the year to C rather than midway through the year. Just an example there. If you go to employment information, you will notice, if I just press edit, that we've got a little bit of a blurb there underneath each of those category letters, which just lets you know what they can be used for. We also support the new not tax codes, the new NI codes that are coming out with regards to investment zones, which is a new initiative in the 24-25 year. I won't go into that too much detail, but there will be 4 new NI category letters to use, N, K, E, and D. If you want to find out more about investment zones, you can check out HMRC's website too. And we've also got a question here with, can you rerun a payroll if you realize you've made a mistake? 100% you can. So up to payroll, down to pay employees. Do you know what? Let's actually revert that payroll we just did, because let's be honest, that £500 was a little bit rude, wasn't it? We're going to go into our, where is it? Week ending. There we go. Week ending the 10th of March. And what we can do once it's loaded up, there we are. We can actually click revert pay run. So once we revert that pay run, we can revert it to draft. One thing I would recommend is you have up to the 19th of the following month to make any edits to your pay runs. And there's a reason why. Is let's just say I'm running the I don't know, the monthly calendar ending the 5th of February. Okay, so 6th of January to the 5th of February. That's the payroll, tax period, of course. You have until the 19th of February to make any adjustments, because your EPS will be sent automatically between the 12th and 19th of Feb in that instance. Okay, so just to recap, if I'm running the 6th of Jan to the 5th of Feb calendar, for the month of January, you have up to the 19th of February to make any changes, because you want to be able to trigger that EPS with the correct figures, which will be sent across to HMRC. So you can revert it. You can also delete it once it has been reverted. There we go. Let's wait for that to load up. There we are. So back to draft status. We can delete it, or maybe we can just adjust those figures there. You will also note that you have the unscheduled pay run option from the drop down here at the bottom. So that's for any out of cycle adjustments. I wouldn't suggest using that for your normal calendars, but if you do want to just maybe add on a bonus that you maybe forgot to process originally, I'd probably use the unscheduled pay run feature in that instance. So you have various options available. Please don't worry as well. We do go through this in much more detail in our payroll certification. Fantastic. So I can see all of the questions currently have been answered. What I will do, though, is I'll leave the Q&A running for, let's say, the next 30 seconds or so, just to give you a chance to send any final queries through. But at that point, we will then shut off today's presentation. So if you do need to hop off, thank you again for joining me, and hopefully I will speak to you again soon in the near future. Fantastic. Yeah, no more questions coming through. So I'll hand back to you, Ryan. Thanks again for having me today, and I hope you all enjoyed it.
That's great. Thanks, Andy. Thank you to everyone for giving up your time this lunchtime to join us. I hope you found the session to be beneficial and you're now suitably enlightened about Xero Payroll. One final thing is to let everyone know the new issue of CA Magazine is out now, and it's in a brand new format, which we hope is more user-friendly. And it's been very much influenced by feedback from members. So we hope you enjoy it if you get a chance to look at it at any point today. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Bye.